For the past 2 weeks, I've been sharing here on YouTube that I have moved out from my rental apartment into my own home that I bought together with my partner. I've been sharing with you the process of packing, the process of moving, unpacking, and even fixing this place. Now I'm ready to share with you the buying process of a bostadsrätt here in Sweden, which is a very exciting journey, but it contains a lot of elements that I think is worth knowing about. There are quite a lot of steps that one has to think about, one has to be aware about, and it is important to know that these steps, they are not necessarily going like one after another. Many of the things are happening parallelly. So I hope by sharing with you my journey of buying a bostadsrätt, it will give you a more clear picture of how it is to buy a bostadsrätt here in Sweden. And I want to point out that in this video I'm talking about buying a bostadsrätt. In Sweden we have different forms of homes or accommodations. I actually made a video about that a couple of years ago, so if you want to watch that video first and understand what is bostadsrätt, what is hyresrätt, what is äganderätt and all of that, go to this video and watch that and then come back, or if you want to watch that after this video, it's up to you. Buying a home is usually one of the biggest investments that any people make in their lives. So of course, the first thing that we did with my partner was to talk about the finances, because we need to be sure that we are able to pay for that. We had multiple discussions about the finances. It wasn't just one-time thing and then it was done. We had multiple discussions, sometimes like several days in a row, sometimes like with some break in between, because buying something together, it's as I said, it's a big investment. So my tip for you is, if you are looking to buy a bostadsrätt here, please talk about the finances with your partner if you're buying with your partner, and don't be shy to ask uncomfortable questions, because now it is actually the time to ask these questions and discuss finances. Questions that you want to talk about is, of course, how much you earn per month, how much in savings do you have, how much in savings do you want to have after you pay your down payment, what happens if you or your partner gets laid off, how much of safety net do you have. For example, maybe for some people it can be relevant to think about, like, if you're planning to have kids in the future, are you able to live on that parental leave salary for some time? How much are you budgeting for, for the costs that require the new home? For example, new furniture, curtains, lamps, maybe a carpet. Maybe, like now we live in a radhus, it's a townhouse, but still it's in the form of a bostadsrätt. We needed to buy, for example, some outside furniture. Everything that requires some kind of payment, in my opinion, everything needs to be discussed. So by having the finances conversation, it set the stage for what we realistically could buy and for what amount. Like most people in Sweden, we looked for this place at two websites, Hemnet and Booli. Hemnet is the biggest website in Sweden where you can find apartments. It's an advertisement platform and it's owned by the Real Estate Association in Sweden. So like mostly, I would say like almost all, if not all, apartment advertisements are always, like, you will always find them. The second place where we looked was Booli. Booli is more like a search engine rather than an advertisement platform, and in Booli what is really nice is that you can see the apartments that are soon coming on sale. The apartments that are coming on sale are also visible in Hemnet, but in Booli you can see many more. On Booli you also have information like statistics about the area, about the house, and so on. I think the combination of these two, Hemnet and Booli, it's a nice way to look for your new home. with our budget in mind, the next step for us was to get a lånelöfte, loan promise. Lånelöfte, it's a very important step in the buying process, and basically you can't do the buying part without lånelöfte, because lånelöfte, loan promise, you get it from a bank and it provides you information and it gives you a notice on how big loan you can get approximately from the bank, and also it helps you to set the stage, like within which budget you can buy a home. So once we had lånelöfte, it gave us like a green light to do the searching more serious and to take this whole searching process more seriously, because now we knew that we had a lånelöfte. Normally you can get only one lånelöfte from one bank, and it's usually enough. Me being me, I wanted to be sure that we would be able to get a lånelöfte, that we would be able to get a mortgage from several banks. We applied for lånelöfte from different banks. Also, it was like a way to double check, is our budget in mind really holds to what lånelöfte could give us, if it makes sense. Also, worth mentioning what we experienced, lånelöfte is also important to have, because every time you talk with a real estate agent, the first question that they ask, do you have lånelöfte? When we sorted out the loan promise and we got it from multiple banks, we started to go on showings. I'm not sure if this is the right term in English. Like in Swedish it's called visningar, so showings, I guess, when you could go and see the apartment and see it with your own eyes. We were on Booli and Hemnet very often, every single day, I would say almost every single day. We're checking all possible places. We had some kind of requirements that both me and my partner had. So when we were searching for at Hemnet and Booli, we knew what approximately we were looking for. There is an interesting thing, I think, with the bostadsrätt, is that every time we liked a place, there was one more step to do, and that was to do a due diligence on the association. So in the video that I mentioned that I made a couple of years ago, legally you don't own this place, but you own a share in an association, because bostadsrättsförening is like a cooperative, and people in the cooperative, they own a share, and hence they have the right to live. For example, in our case, we have the right to live in this place. So every time when you look for an apartment or a place that is bostadsrätt, you have to also do the due diligence on the association. For example, some of the questions that we checked and that usually people check, how is the financial situation of the association? Has the association made any major maintenance, or are they planning to do major maintenance? Do people in this association have a parking space? Does every member of this association have a parking space? For example, now going really deeper, if you have an electric car, you probably want to know, okay, is the electric chargers available or not? So you kind of want to ask, for example, are they planning to increase the fee? And if they're planning to do so, why is that? Is that because the maintenance will happen, or what are the reasons? There were cases in Sweden where an association, for example, went bankrupt, and that is not a fun thing, to experience. So just to be sure, just to be on the safe side, you want to check the finances of that. In my situation, I am not really good at reading financial information. I asked ChatGPT for help. My partner also asked ChatGPT for help, but some of the things still were not clear. So I asked, for example, my friend, who is good at reading the financials. She has her own company, so she knows how to read it. So I had kind of a booking session with her. I booked her time, we talked about that, and we went through the numbers. She explained to me what does that mean, what this means. and stuff like that. Anyway, the due diligence was done. We found a place that we really liked, and this turned out to be this place. When we were here on the showing, the real estate agent told us, if you want to do a quick deal, you just pay for the asking price and then we can shake hands. We were thinking quite a lot about this and thinking, do we want to start the bidding process? Do we want to go with lower price and then hopefully hope that we can get the price cheaper? I of course wanted to lower the price a little bit, just a little bit, but in the end we decided to not do that and just accept the price that was asked. And the reason was because the price seemed to be reasonable. It was very similar to what is around in the areas. My friend who was helping me with reading the finances, when I told her about the fact that we did not do the bidding, she told me that it was kind of a good idea, because when she and her partner were buying an apartment, they started the bidding process. The asking price was X. They went lower, they asked for a lower price. That way they started the bidding process, and in the end the price went so high up, so somehow she regrets the fact that she kind of started the bidding process. In the end they won the bidding process, but they had to pay much more than what was asked. So I got kudos from her for accepting the asking price. Now normally on Hemnet what is happening is that the prices that you see, they are not the final prices, they are the starting prices. So many times people go through the bidding process. In our case, as I said, it didn't happen to us and we were lucky, so I'm happy about that. A few points about the bidding. Bidding in Sweden is not binding. I can be, for example, in a bidding process, but I can withdraw my bidding at any time. Even if you win the bidding process, the seller can still deny you. So just because you pay more, it doesn't mean that you will get the place. So it's actually up to the seller. So basically, I would say that nothing is official until you sign the contract. Now, even if I say that the bidding is not binding, please don't listen to me, because I am not a professional real estate agent and I'm not a lawyer. So if you are going on the showings and you are going into the bidding, please check with the real estate agent, because I think that there can be some exceptions, right? So just to be sure, always check with the real estate agent, because you don't want to be in a position where you're kind of stuck in that bidding process. Once we found the place that we liked and agreed on price together with the real estate agent, we had to confirm that it was actually okay with the bank, because the bank also, of course, the bank will finance this place and we take the mortgage from the bank, so they also have to do a due diligence on the association, on the on the area. Usually what they're asking for the Hemnet listing webs link. So this is what we provided to them, and we got the green light. When we finally signed the contract, it was finally official and we were so excited. I just didn't know where to take myself out of this excitement. But in these exciting emotions, of course, we had to pay the down payment, and it had to be paid within 1 week, which I think is the standard time. And the interesting thing, I didn't know that it is like that, but you pay the down payment to the real estate agent's bank account. I mean, probably not his private bank account, but his working bank account. So the payment doesn't go to our bank, it doesn't go to the sellers, it goes to the real estate agent who holds the money. So when we paid for the down payment, we got an email from the real estate office where the real estate agent works, and they were asking for information about our bank. And the reason was, we paid the down payment, but what about of the rest of the money that you have to pay? And of course, that will be paid by the bank. But here comes a caveat. We were not able to tell to the real estate office what bank we would have, because the banks told us that it is too early to discuss mortgage. We signed the contract in April and our handover day was on 31st of July. And all banks, I tried to talk with multiple banks, they told us, since your handover date is in July, we can't discuss with you mortgage rates now in April. We have to wait until June. And they explained it to me as anything can happen between April and July. So the interest rate can go either like even increase even more or it can decrease. And signing the mortgage contract with you now, it's a risk both for us as a bank and for you as a buyer. So I think, like, I know that this was outside of my control and like we were not able to do anything about that, but that didn't help me because I thought that it was a bit stressful to sit and wait from April until June and decide like, okay, hope that our interest rate would be good. In our case, we were lucky and the interest rate in June actually went down, which means that we were able to get a little bit lower interest rate in June than what if we would like sign it in April, it would be a little bit higher. So as I said, like we were lucky and we got a little bit lower, but it could go another way. Anyway, yes, it was outside of our control and we had to wait for June. Once June came, we finally started to discuss, mortgage rates with several banks, and in the end, we agreed with one of the banks. I actually even managed to lower the interest rate even a little bit lower. I hope that this part, the signing and down payment, wasn't too confusing and that I was able to explain for you like what I really meant. If this is not very clear, please ask me in the comments down below what I meant and I will try to explain it again in the written form. Now, after signing the contract, there are many steps that are happening afterwards and they're happening kind of parallelly. So the next step after the signing was to get approval from the association where we are buying this place. We as buyers didn't have to do anything. This step was handled by the real estate agent. He was the one sending the papers to the board, notifying them about us buying this place or buying shares in this place, however you want to say it. The association approval happens after the signing the contract, but before moving in. There is some waiting time and it can be a bit annoying, but nothing stressful, I think, because you're basically just sitting and waiting to get approval. Other things that had to be done after signing the contract was, of course, to prepare for the move. And that includes moving to the new place, but also fixing the place in your old apartment. So for the new place, what is required is it's a must to have home insurance on the first day of the move. So if, for example, we are moving here on 31st of July, we must have home insurance in this place from 31st of July. Also, it can be a good idea to sign electricity bill, electricity contract and internet contract in this new place, because otherwise it is a little bit hard to live in this kind of place without internet and electricity. Regarding the old place, it was of course regarding cancelling all possible contracts. Again, cancelling electricity contract, cancelling internet contract, cancelling whatever contract that you have in that old apartment. It was also a time to book the movers, and we booked the movers kind of like in April, maybe in the beginning of May. And for me, it was really important to book the movers as soon as possible, because in Sweden, most of the people are moving on the last day of the month. So if you don't manage to book the movers in advance, it might happen that you don't have any, or that you will end up with the ones that are really, really expensive because you didn't find others. In our case also, we booked the cleaning for the old apartment. It's not necessary, you can do it yourself, but for me, like, I was like, I need to move to this place and then go back to clean the old place, it was just too much for me. And I thought that probably paying for the cleaning would be a bit easier, at least for my mind. For this place, like for the moving and for the cleaning, we booked the same firm. It was Pribaltika Tjänster. They were really nice guys. They did really great job. This is not sponsored. I'm using them the second time, and like I'm happy with their services. One thing that they told us, the movers, because yes, it was one firm, but it was two different teams. So the moving team told us that we did a great job on wrapping up all our furniture and all possible things that should be wrapped. We wrapped them, and they gave us kudos for that. They praised us multiple times, and they said, guys, you wrapped up so good. And because of that, the loading into the trucks, it went much faster. So we basically saved money by wrapping most of our furniture ourselves. And the praise that we got from cleaners was that our apartment, our rental apartment, it was clean, especially the bathroom and the kitchen, which usually are the dirtiest places. But I made sure, like not me, but both me and my partner, we made sure to take care of that place, to not damage it, to clean it, to make sure that it is in a good shape. So because we kept the old place in a good shape and clean, the cleaners also were done quite quickly, I would say, and they were very surprised that the place was really clean. So if you want to book movers and you want to save a little bit money, pre-wrap most of the furniture, whatever is possible, wrap them. And if you also want to have like the cleaners, but you want to save a little bit, keep your place as clean as possible. That way they don't have to spend too much time in your apartment. Finally, 31st of July came, and it was the handover day. What happened on that day is that I went to the real estate office, met with the sellers and the real estate agent. We signed the last parts of the papers, and then the real estate agent went away to talk with our bank to, finalize the last parts of the mortgage, so the mortgage would be paid to the sellers. And then after that, he came back, and we were given the keys to this place. Also, as a congratulation gesture, we got champagne from the real estate agent, and he kind of congratulated, gave the champagne, and was like, okay, you are free to go to your new place. I would say, like, to be honest, I think it is a bit stressful to move from one place to another and at the same time go to the real estate office and get the keys, everything on the same day, because a lot of things are happening at the same time. And I think it would be much easier if we would move maybe the next day, but our apartment was, we canceled our rental and we were supposed to move out on 31st of July. Oh, another thing was, on the handover day, we moved, like I came with the keys here, and the movers were waiting for me here for the key because I had the key. So I came and opened the door, and only after that the movers start to, unload the trucks. Another thing that was happening on the day is the cleaners. If you remember, I booked the cleaners as well. So while this whole thing, I was in the real estate office, and here everything was unpacking. At the same time, we had cleaners in our old place cleaning our rental apartment. So in the end of the day, around like 6 o'clock in the evening, I had to go back to the old place and to do the checking if I was happy with the cleaning, and just to see if the job was done properly or not. So the handover day was a very eventful and a little bit stressful. As a closing for this whole video, I would say that looking back, it was a very exciting journey to look for an apartment, to go through this buying process, especially together with my partner. It was so fun and it was so interesting. Yes, at times it was a bit annoying. Some parts were annoying, some parts were a bit stressful, but I think everything was worth it. So with this video, I hope that this journey that I just told you about, it will be a helpful resource for you on what to expect if you ever decide to buy a bostadsrätt here in Sweden in the future. If I missed some of the steps, please let me know and let the others know in the comments down below, so we all collectively can learn. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video.